7 minutes after 11 o'clock. Welcome to today's edition of Voices. It's Friday, May 24. It's another Friday. And this is Jamson sitting in for Socrates. He can't make it today. There's a big ship in today, and so the job falls to me for today's edition of Voices. We're trying to get the phones rebooted, but you guys have been hearing the PSA, the gun amnesty PSA that's being aired. The gun amnesty comes to an end tomorrow. So at least to get the ball rolling, we'll get to some other subjects as well. But I think under the circumstances and given the seriousness of the gun problem, I think this is a good time to play for you Do I Ask the Fans commentary from last Wednesday, which references the gun problem. And we're going to use that as the catalyst for the start of a discussion, given that tomorrow is the deadline for the gun amnesty. So I think it's something that we should be thinking about. So let's go hear from our sponsors and come back.
What has you so happy?
My home internet just got upgraded, and I didn't even have to pay for it.
What? Which network you have?
Flow. Now I can get the fastest fiber internet in St. Kitts and Nevis for the lowest price.
Fastest internet for the lowest price? What's the catch?
No catch, my friend. 100 megabits per second for just $135 a month. With Flow, you truly get the best internet experience around.
Switch to Flow for the fastest fiber internet at the lowest price. Visit a Flow store today. Conditions apply.
Looking for something extra? Look no further. Suppligent's got you covered with our Suppligent Shop and Win promotion. You can be the lucky winner to take home one of 3 cash prizes. Just spend $12 or more on any Suppligent Tetra products at your favorite supermarket, write your name and contact at the back of your bill, and place it in the specially marked entry form box for a chance to win big. Promotion runs April 1st to May 30th, 2024. Suppligent boosts you up.
Shopping with TDC just got much easier. Here's how. Log on to shoptdcgroup.com. Shop at your convenience at any time, from anywhere, with your smartphone, tablet, or computer. With our safe and secure payment checkout, you choose the option to pick up in-store or have your goods delivered right to your door. It's that easy. Shop tdcgroup.com, your one-stop online store.
Shop anywhere, shop anytime, same quality you love. Now online. Shop
www.shoptdcgroup.com.
So we are back to get today's edition of Voices on the Road. So like I was saying, we've been hearing the gun amnesty PSA that's been playing, that's been put out by the Ministry of National Security. Tomorrow is the deadline. And actually, now would be a good time to actually play it, and then we get into Dwyer's commentary from last Wednesday. which references the continuing gun problem we've been having, and of course the attendant shootings and fatalities. So I'm gonna play the PSA for you guys. For those of you who may not have heard it, believe it or not, that's possible. So here we go.
Attention, citizens and residents of St. Kitts and Nevis. A message from your government. In the face of rising gun violence, we offer a chance for redemption. From May 10th to May 25th, 2024, turn in your illegal firearms, ammunition, and accessories at any police station or to a lawyer without fear of prosecution.
If you are in possession of an illegal firearm or ammunition, if you are harboring such items for others, if thoughts of wielding a gun cross your mind, the moment for transformation is now.
Choose a future free from violence. Your loved ones will thank you. Turn in your guns. The time for change is now.
Mr. Gunman, tell me where you get out of killing, where you get out of blood spilling, what kind of sickness you have in your heart, for you get up every day, you bust gun for your living.
So yes, that's the PSA that the Ministry of National Security is running at the moment. Like I said, the gun amnesty lasts until tomorrow, and I thought it was. I thought this was a great time. We didn't actually get to play his commentary from last weekend, but I thought this was a good time to play it again, given that tomorrow is the deadline for the gun amnesty. And on Wednesday, Socrates had Lincoln David Pell, former police officer and candidate for the People's Action Movement, discussing, the gun amnesties and how they work and so on. So I think this is a good time to hear Dwyer Asafan on our ongoing gun problem and gun violence.
It's a troubling amount of illegal firearms and ammunition in St. Kitts Nevis. Over the years, there has been an increase in the demand for firearms, an increase in the number of people who have become involved in importing, selling, and facilitating the import and sales of these illegal firearms and ammunition. And there's been an increase in the number of persons who are willing to use these firearms to take life. The people who have been involved and are still involved in facilitating the import and sales locally include people who have use of boats, people who work at our ports, people in our security agencies, and others. The increase in demand has been caused by people who, whether or not they applied for firearm licenses and were denied, have decided that they are going to have a firearm anyway to protect themselves, their families, their properties, their interests from whoever, whether it be just other citizens or from gangs or whoever. And also the increase has been caused to some extent, perhaps to the most extent, by the growth of criminal gangs for whom the firearm is an important tool of trade and a necessary means of defense. The gang culture began to take root in this country, especially in St. Kitts, in the early 1980s, under the leadership of Sons of Privilege. And like an untreated cancer, it has gotten worse. Gotten worse to some degree because toxic and deadly influences from the US and Jamaica began to seep into our culture. And all of these influences are toxic and deadly. They were and continue to be attractive and enticing to young women and men of humble backgrounds for the most part, who have had little or no emotional and social support structures and systems at home or in the community, and who are haunted by hopelessness, anger, and cynicism. Perfect fodder for gang life. If your family is falling short, then you acquire a new family, the gang. If you are sent home from school and there's no one at home, no guidance in the community, you're going to gravitate to the gang, which becomes your family. You spend time there. You become embedded there. Young, aimless, badly governed children falling into the hands of hardened criminals and sociopaths who, mafia style, take care of them but take control of them. Sometimes they have to prove themselves by committing major crimes to establish themselves in their credibility in the gang and on the street. A lot of us don't seem to understand this culture. And a number of us who do understand it seem to have adopted it and become a part of it rather than trying to eradicate it, not realizing the damage and destruction this thing can wreak on all of us in our alleys, our streets, our communities, our nation. And we're seeing the evidence of it. The problem with the gang life is that once you get in, it is almost impossible to get out, far less to get out alive. And while you're in, if you're low down in the chain of command, you can find yourself badly ill-treated by some of your superiors. For example, if you were in the alternative lifestyle program, better known as the peace program, you might not have gotten the amount of money that you think you should have gotten. And you may begin to wonder what's going on. Meanwhile, as things dry up for you, you see the higher-ups doing all kinds of business, flashing all kind of money and jewelry and so forth. And you wonder why, if they're doing so well out of the peace and generally, then what about you? So you get antsy and you take out your frustration on somebody using what? A firearm. And then somebody looks to get revenge. Reliable circles give this as an explanation, in part, for what is going on in St. Kitts and Nevis now. In part, maybe not the full explanation, but in part. The peace program put money in people's hands, but there was no accountability. Some persons got healthy sums of money, gang leaders and others, while others got relative pittances. And on top of that, advantage was being taken against some of these youths. For example, in some cases, their money got even shorter, as kickbacks had to be paid to certain persons. And now, as I said, in part, we are seeing the consequences of this. Everything has a cause. The peace program also encouraged school children to aspire to get into criminality and away from the general path of productivity and good citizenship. And many did. And they too, once in, would need a tool to get their business done. And what is that tool? Money. And money coming to them through the peace program or through other channels would be used to buy them their tools, the firearms. So from the inception of that program, there was an increase in demand and increase in the number of firearms in the Federation. Of course, an increased demand had started after the closure of the sugar industry in 2005, when the sugar lands became unused and under-policed, and young people who had no other sources of income or who had choices but opted for growing marijuana, illegal as it was, used the cane fields that had been pretty much abandoned, and of course now had to find ways to protect themselves and their businesses. Hence, an increase in what? Firearms and ammunition, and in the number of shootings and deaths, as they exacted justice under their system of justice, where and when and how they suffered. And so the record must show that there's sufficient blame to go around, both among politicians with good intentions but little foresight, and politicians with bad intention, and of course others. And as that developed here after 2005, people in our security agencies became increasingly compromised, involved, and corrupted. And as more and more people depended on and benefited from the illegal activities, more and more of us turned a blind eye and became hardened, and ourselves became criminalized to the deadly dangers of what was going on. And we saw a widening system of corruption in society, reinforced in no small measure by the aforementioned influences of violence and cold-bloodedness and transactionalism and materialism from the music, the movies, the videos, etc., coming out of the US and Jamaica. And also influenced by the mind and conscience-crushing nonsense on social media, disrupting our value systems, our social and community bonds and civic mindedness, and making our little country more lawless and less productive. Much of this degradation and damage took place in our society because government and other leaders were negligent in ensuring that parents took responsibility and were held accountable in law and in society for their children, and it still is the case. Leaders were negligent in taking preventative measures against all of this looseness, the consequences of which we are seeing in society, and the looseness which we are seeing in society. They were negligent in not ensuring that education was more relevant to the psychological, social, and economic needs of our people, regardless of how you look at it. And whether you like it or not, it is hard to deny that our people are less educated in the sense of relevant knowledge and skills, personal and character development and attitude, less dignified and courteous and cordial, less stable and productive as citizens than we can and should be. We are less socially conscious and civic-minded. We are less empathetic and considerate of each other. We are too selfish and narrow-minded, and we are more corrupt. So what are the solutions? I believe that the Drew administration is stepping in the right direction in restructuring the peace program. I don't believe that we have anything to lose by last week's increase in penalties for illegal possession of firearms. And I think it is good that steps have been taken to address matters of witness bribing, intimidation, and protection, and the same for jurors. And I welcome as strong a system as possible to protect witnesses and jurors and their families. I believe that every effort should be made to ensure that a relentless full court press is applied to these gangs so that they will understand that they do not run things. They cannot rampage the country up and down the place using their weapons, taking lives, putting other people in jeopardy, putting the country in fear, and compromising our chances of development as a young nation. We can't allow them to take control. And we have to make sure that they understand and experience the consequences of their attitudes and activities. The gangs must be dismantled. I want to use the word ruthlessly, and I will use it, but not in any sense that you will think I mean using ruthlessness outside of the four corners of the law. It must be used without relent. In order that this be done, it will be necessary that the police force, defense force, prison staff, customs, immigration, and ports are cleaned up of corruption and incompetence, and that more streamlined professional agencies are established. Government needs to set a higher standard in selecting and keeping people in these agencies. And if the public service laws need to be changed, then they must do that. Everybody in these agencies and in the public service generally need to be assessed on an ongoing basis with regard to maintaining their jobs and maintaining high standards of performance, professionalism, and ethics and integrity. The competence and mediocrity and corruption in the public service, aided and abetted by politics and politicians, have to end. They are contributing to the attitude and mentality that nurtures criminality, the criminality we are seeing in the country. And corrupt public officials need to face justice. They are getting away with what they do is a trigger to so-called blue-collar crime and violence. Likewise for those corrupt criminals in the private sector who rob the government, who rob their employees and their customers every day and get away with it. Rob Social Security, rob the Inland Revenue, rob the customs, sometimes aided and abetted by people wearing government uniforms. Cleaning all of these up will help to clean up the guns and the gangs and the extortion and the other nasty stuff that is taking place. It is a waste of time and a joke when security units visit places to make raids, and when they reach, they find the targets waiting for them, having been already informed that they were coming. It is a waste of time and an attack on the people of the country when a public official teams up with an unscrupulous business person to rob the public purse or otherwise damage the country. If more of these people, if all of the culprits were made to pay what they owe, the government would have more money to carry out programs that would promote social and economic stability and growth. I believe that security personnel should not be allowed to hold second jobs, not in the private sector anyway. In their off time, they should be given work providing security for government facilities to provide them with an opportunity for extra money so their pay packages can increase. They should also get concessions such as duty reduction on vehicles and on home materials. Likewise for health workers and teachers. But they must all be held to the highest standard and fired when they do not measure up. The excessive security of tenure in the public service and the free pension are killing its effectiveness, causing the government to spend far more money than it should on payroll and on unproductivity, and wasting good money that could be put to better use for the country's best interests. I believe that national security needs to be cleaned up and that tighter immigration, work permit, and other arrangements be put in place with greater emphasis on due diligence and making sure that the process of allowing people to come here to live and work is more vigilant and discerning. Too many people are coming here, taking up space and jobs and creating problems, blocking out our locals from jobs and space and opportunities. This leads to disgruntlement, to loss of opportunity, as I said, and antisocial and criminal behavior, backlash by our neglected locals. Just 2 days ago, I was walking in Bastia and saw a work site, a construction site. Over 20 workers there, not more than 3 of them local. How could this be allowed? When our people don't get work, what do you think they're going to do? Decision makers are just as responsible for the criminality as the persons who are pulling those triggers. If that sounds extreme, then so be it. On that same walk, I passed by 2 young women speaking Spanish. I asked them in a nice way if they can speak English, and I was responded to with a barrage of F's in clear and understandable English. They could cuss us in English, but they can't talk to each other in English in an English-speaking country. If you want to come here, you have to assimilate. Of course, don't abandon your mother tongue. I've said this before time and again. People come here and do as they like, and we allow it. And this adds to the tension and stress in the country. And these things also add to criminality. We need to clean up the place. Police don't have control of the road. Cameras and drones must be deployed to pick up traffic violations. I keep saying that. And they will pick up other things. It will increase government revenue, reduce the amount of drivers on the road because bad drivers will be suspended. And at the same time, it will trap some of its gang and gun activity. Too many openings on our coastline, in our waters, in our airspace, and our land. We need the tools to stomp this nonsense out. And we need the right people to use the tools. And there's a lot more, but I don't have that time right now. But will politicians take the lead in making these hard but necessary decisions? Will the churches, the business community, and other institutions put their hands up and say, we are in? Will businesses and other entities in the country partner in this process? Will they provide work for people, our people, rather than blocking out our people? Will we take comprehensive steps to remove the causes of this cancerous gang culture that is threatening to engulf us systemically, and powerfully convince these young and not so young men and women that we will not tolerate this crap, and that is not healthy for them either. We will not put up with it. We're putting our foot down. Are we going to do that? Or will we sit by and let our country go up in smoke? Or more appropriately, go down in gunfire? This is a time for decision making and firmness. Otherwise, unfortunately, we'll go up in smoke or as I said, more appropriately, go down in gunfire. Let's see what we're going to do.
And that's Dwyer Estefan's commentary. Very powerful. That's actually from last Wednesday, but like I said at the top, I thought that'd be a repeating. We actually didn't have time to play it before, but I thought this was a timely moment to replay it, given that the gun amnesty deadline is tomorrow. And so what we're going to do, we're going to go take a break, and hopefully we can come back and have some of your calls on those issues and any other issues you want to discuss on Voices.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
Sale, sale, sale! TDC Home and Building Depot is having a massive tent sale! Saturday, 25th of May, from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Save up to 80% off everything for your home and office. Name your price, get super deals, and rock bottom prices on a wide variety of items for your home and office, including the kitchen sink. If you missed this one, blame yourself, because the savings are for 1 day only. You hear sale? This coming Saturday, head to TDC Home and Building Depot massive tent sale and shop till you drop. Terms and conditions apply. See store for details. TDC, together we succeed.
What has you so happy?
My home internet just got upgraded, and I didn't even have to pay for it.
What? Which network you have?
Flow. Now I can get the fastest fiber internet in St. Kitts and Nevis for the lowest price.
Fastest internet for the lowest price? What's the catch?
No catch, my friend. 100 megabits per second for just $135 a month. With Flow, you truly get the best internet experience around.
Switch to Flow for the fastest fiber internet at the lowest price. Visit a Flow store today. Conditions apply.
$11:35, and we are back, and this is the point where I take my first call. Caller, go right ahead.
Present.
Hey, what's up?
I'm good, man. Physically, yeah, you down a little bit.
Oh, okay. How are you doing? I need to come. You live in the country? Oh, where do you live? No.
Me live all about now, and sometimes I don't live now there.
Okay, I need to come see you. We need to link up and talk.
It's time for me. Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, we listen to Dwyer with our 3 years. You know, the guy saying, say, no make so come to 1 year and go to the next.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of that boy has been going on for a while.
And you know, that is why I decided to, even though the commentary was from last week, I still think it's timely, and it'll be timely for a long time, you know? And that's why, precisely to your point, because people, you need...
I'm going to talk to Brother Dwyer about that.
Yeah.
Things, yeah. Because most times it's like coming to 1 year and going to the next. And especially with people who should listen with their 3 ears. One on the right, the one on the left, and the ear inside. So that the words, what he's uttering, move you to do the thing that you ought to do. Are you with me? I guess we want to keep reasoning. We are seeing a situation where donkey, you know the word donkey?
Yeah.
Not the word, because they might say it's not a word. Because they say particular is not a word. Oh, it's the old people, man, I tell you. We've seen a donkey kind of vibration when it comes to advice. Word sound that will make a big difference within the scheme of things. And while we are seeing that donkey, we are seeing the foolish embracing of vibes that is otherwise. Are you with me?
With you.
And it is so sad. And it can cause some serious number. I more than what we are seeing. Very serious number. And me glad, me spend some time in a bigger thinking community. And, Zamba used to always tell me why like people wonder, oh, you, I'm a family them scoop and me say, I'm mad to go to Jamaica. Zamba always just say,
You sound, you just got very soft. I don't know.
You mean pain, me physical pain, so sometimes.
Oh,
But
okay.
anyway, you hear me now?
Yeah, I'm hearing you. Yeah.
Yeah. And he used to say to me, people feel like my sojourn in Jamaica is some kind of, wrong. But me know what me was doing. Because you see, I start Jamaica prepare me for things no. Whatever will come. Because you see the people like me and you and Dwyer and the rest of you, we're not supposed to go down in it. Because we are seeing things differently. And if we are sharing and they are not tenaciously embracing the message, sometimes them all find fault with the messenger instead of embracing the message.
Exactly.
That's how stubborn and how donkey. But we have to make sure within this, even though we are part of a nation of people, we have to make sure that we save ourselves and our families and our loved ones inside of this. First, like Marcus Garvey always say, race first, and then it extends to humanity. Hear me? Give thanks to the sharing, and we continue to listen, my brother.
Yeah.
Whenever time permits, we talk off the air.
Yes. Okay. All right.
That's it.
Great. Have a good weekend. Okay. Yeah, that's Eli. Now, as usual, as he usually does, Dwyer has a very he's very adept at pulling together and indexing all the things. Okay, we think of that commentary as it's about gun violence, but he has a very good way of indexing all the things that contribute to the gun violence. And I think he did a good job there as well. Caller, go right ahead.
Good day, Trevor.
Hey, what's
Greetings
up?
in Jesus'
Hey.
name.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. First of all, I would like to say there is no such thing as a gun problem. We do not have a gun problem. The problem is that we are not doing things according to the Bible. That is the problem. And what Dwyer are recommending is part of the problem. not part of the solutions, because what he's recommending, they all go against the Bible, and therefore they will not work. And you have to remember, Dwyer himself was at one time Minister of National Security, and under him we had a very high crime problem. As a matter of fact, I think it was even escalating under him. You know? And yet, those failed policies, he still want to continue them. It's like Albert Einstein, like I quoted more than once, where Albert Einstein says, the definition of madness is to be doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, but you're continually getting the same result. And that is what's going on in a lot of areas, including the crime issue, including where guns are concerned. The biblical way to deal with crime, for example, you murder somebody, it does not matter whether it be a gun or whatever other instrument you use. The way to deal with that problem is not to blame the instrument or weapon used, because the Bible never ever blamed the instrument or weapon used. The Bible blamed the person who committed the crime, and it tells us that such a person should be executed publicly on the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses. That is how you deal, for example, with murder. With stealing, it gave some. It tells us how to deal with those things. For example, you recompense the person twice the amount of what you stole from them. And there are other crimes
Gregory, far be it for me to mock and scoff at the Bible, but a lot of that stuff sounds very quaint. As far as it comes to dealing with the very real and gory problem that we're dealing with now, gun violence, all that stuff. Yeah, maybe they didn't have guns back then. I don't know if all that stuff is
Man heart remain the same. It does not matter the weapon. Man heart remain the same, and nobody knows the heart of man like how God knows the heart of man, and God knows how to restrain the heart of man, and He tells us how. And He said, if you do, for example, if you murder, you on the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, you execute that person publicly, and justice must be swift too. Justice shouldn't be taking weeks and months and years. Justice should be very, very swift. I think maybe 3 days at the most.
I'm with
2
you.
days at the most.
I don't know about 3 days, but I'm with you on that. I actually think that it takes. I actually think that would be a great incentive to do right to criminals. I think it takes too long to get these things tied up. My thing is, as long as it's been firmly, incontrovertibly established that this person committed this crime, this person killed this person, blah blah blah. I even feel, and Gregory, you tell me what you think. I even feel this is probably draconian and so on, but I feel like part of the punishment should be in some cases where, as long as it is proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that you killed so and so, and the circumstances meet all the targets. I feel like one of the things should be that no appeal should be permitted. I'm sorry. What do you think? I mean, if you can go, okay, you found the ammunition 10 years, and then you go from 10 years to 40 years. Why can't you say, oh, you know what? You killed this person, and it's been proven beyond a shadow of a doubt, blah, blah, blah. No chance of appeal.
Well, again,
what's
no
wrong
chance
with that?
Of appeal. Yes, again, no chance of appeal is part of the biblical way to go, right? But you need more than that. You need the right set of people to be judges. Like I said, biblically speaking, the right set of people to be judges are men who fear God, are men who hate bribery, are men who have a track record of these things.
Okay, Gregory.
regarding the
Look,
bribery.
I want you to call back, but because I want to take this other call, but we can keep this going. Caller, go right ahead.
Hi, James. Good morning.
Hey, what's up?
I'm good. I want to start off from a conversation you folks had this morning on the Morning Island Tea.
Yeah.
Before I come forward.
Mhm.
Yeah. We're talking about the geopolitics and all that. And I want to simplify it by saying, and I wish to say thanks to Dr. Ericana Chirambari Kwao. She originally from Zimbabwe, but she married to a Ghanaian gentleman from Ghana, and she was the AU representative to the diaspora until she disclosed some information about France, and she was somewhat let go from that position. But she continued to advocate and agitate for all things good. Dr. Ericana Chirambari Kwao is who brought to the fore, as of late, recently, about the Berlin Conference that took place in 1884, 1885, the latter months of 1884, into the earlier months of 1885. And I will continue to say, being disclosed to who attended that meeting and what it was about, it started off with the spoils of King Leopold with his chiefdom of what was known as Zaire, known as the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and how these Europeans was fighting amongst themselves over trinkets. And it was Otto Bismarck, the Chancellor of Germany back then, who spearheaded that meeting in Berlin. Well, who were the representatives? Who are at present? So many of the nations that become European nations today. And I continue to say that, Jamster, like how you disclosed the other day. You remember you disclosed that America is who set up Liberia? And
Yes,
the capital
Liberia.
of Liberia
And
was named off of one of the...
Yes.
The
the capital is named after the president. Monroe.
Thomas Monroe
So Monrovia. Yeah.
Thomas Monroe or one of that.
Uh-huh.
Monrovia, synonymous with the man named Mr. Monroe. One of probably the 6th president.
Yeah, something like that.
So we know that the United States had a colony.
Actually,
in the
it's two. It's actually, but there's another one, Sierra Leone as well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Right? But also, who are at present?
No, wait.
United
What am I
States of
saying? No,
America
what am I saying? No. Liberia is Monrovia and Sierra Leone is. Oh wait.
Freetown.
I'm trying to remember the capital of
Freetown.
Freetown. Okay. All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You remember the movie The Blood Diamond with Sierra Leone?
Yeah.
And how rich those areas are? But so it's for another day. Let me get back to what I'm saying. At the Berlin Conference, the United States was present. And all of those modern nations today, what we call European nations, Eastern nations and Western, Eastern Europe and Western Europe, along with Russia. One can forgive, but I will never forget. They all knew exactly. If I am an accomplice in a murder, even though I was a driver, I did not take part in pulling the trigger. Accomplice in a crime, some of the perpetrators who didn't probably pull the trigger normally get harsher sentences. You understand? So not because Russia now is more favorable to the continent of Africa, because they are there. It was more difficult back then from the space that was called Russia for them to get through. You know, the waters, the body of waters, because some time of the year, the northern part would be frozen. As opposed to Spain and Portugal coming around the African continent and grabbing the largest spoils of Africa. Let us say if Spain and Portugal was in the Russian Spain, and Russia was in the Spanish Spain, Iberian Peninsula, Al-Andalus, as it's called. Russia would have had more of the spoil than what Spain and Portugal accomplished in Africa and other parts of the world. Because Russia went on to get Alaska and a small little enclave in between Djibouti and Ethiopia. But that time, like Leopold, it was more like a private adventure where those rich oligarchs and those rich persons in Europe would sponsor going to get the spoils of Africa and other places of the world. So with me being cognizant of the Russian presence at the Berlin conference, I cannot cut them any slack. In spite of what they're doing now, they will have to come and apologize to me why their representative was at the present, just like how the Americans and France and Spain and Portugal and Belgium, and you call them, have to apologize to me too. Because all the good that you're doing now, I don't know what it would take for you to undo the bad that you did back then. Conspiring to take my ancestors over in these lands. So you will have to come and apologize to me. I am not trusting them. I can forgive them, but I'm not forgetting them. So with all the geopolitics that you're talking about, and I listen to Mr. McMahon, and some of his views is good because you have to paint the broad brush. None of them are innocent. And what they did then, and for me, is not a new scramble for Africa. It's the same continuous scramble. The scramble goes on. Because according to Dr. Chirambara Kwao, the exploit of Africa, it was only 15-20%. So here is it, you have 85% still to be exploited. And the attempt on Felix Tshisekedi's life, the president of the Democratic Republic of the Congo, it bears all of the hallmarks of the United States, if not the United States government, of a private company because he exposed what Apple is doing. Just like the blood diamonds in Sierra Leone, in the same way as the blood coltan and the blood tantalum and the blood thing that has it in the cell phone and the Intel and all of those companies. It is the same thing. It must stop. And how it's going to stop? It's going to stop by re-raising our voices. Look, the other day, one lone person raised their voice towards their account in that Republic Bank. One petition. And tell me how many petition banks do business with that bank. And they intend to bear the sufferation. Not me. The sufferation has to be on the shoulders of those who needs to bear the sufferation because they will have to pay. So I'm listening to all of the geopolitics, and Mr. Khan, who is the lead prosecutor in the ICC, Mr. McMahon, the International Criminal Court, as opposed to the ICJ, the International Court of Justice, has issued warrants to persons, including Benjamin Netanyahu, the president of Israel, and America feel like, hey, we are giving you the weapons to do the dirty work. Maybe we might be implicated in it. They are so complicit in it that they feel like that's their turn. So let us attack the ICJ. We who decided we want this man, Mr. Khan, to be the lead prosecutor. But guess what? They thought the court was only set up for African leaders, as they said. So Mr. Lindsey Graham, one of the Republican figures, disclosed that we have to go after the ICC because we might be next. And the United States, they are unanimous with it, both the Republicans and Democrats, that wouldn't happen. Not us down here, the way our geopolitics is, we don't unite for nothing. But the United States are unanimous. the Biden administration and the Republicans that decide. If the ICC goes along with it, we're going to attack the ICC in The Hague. They're going to go after, they're going to sanction the ICC. So this is where we are. These people set up a court for justice, but they only think that is only African leaders should be prosecuted in that court. And guess what? Israel and the United States, they're not signatories of the ICC.
So
they want to dictate.
So how do you think? I heard. Is it the Germans floating? Was it the Germans floating the idea that they would arrest Netanyahu? I mean, how would that even work?
The European Union, they're taking a stance with it now.
Does he have? Does he have to pass through Germany
Not only
to
the
go
Germans,
somewhere?
I think the French too.
Interesting. Prophecy, huh?
Yeah.
Prophecy.
One would be subject to an arrest if you are signatory to the ICC, similar to when South Africa was hosting the BRICS, and Mr. Putin decided he's not going to attend because the onus would have been on South Africa as a signatory to the ICC to arrest. Remember, right now, South Africa has taken the lead. Egypt has joined. I think Pakistan has joined. And I think Argentina, a couple of those South American countries, has joined the ICJ with putting pressure on Israel. And when the Biden administration realized that Rafah is next, the last part where all of the refugees went and to eke out a living, Rafah is next. And when they realized that why we have given Israel so many bombs to drop on Rafah, and Israel was and continue to drop the bombs indiscriminately. They don't care if it's women and children. And the irony about it, the next generation, and forget for using a biblical reference. Israel is using the same biblical reference and talking about Malak and to erase Malak from the face of the earth. They are using the same biblical reference. So how credible is the biblical references? How can we use them for good and not for evil? Yeah. They're going back and they're going to see how the ancient Malachite was, within the wars. Because these wars, they goes back so far in time. And with the Berlin Conference, is that they was fighting amongst themselves over the trinkets. And Mr. McMahon was right. I don't think Russia would forget, and no nation should forget.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, Africa, it's time.
It was too close for comfort. Yeah.
It's time for news.
Time?
Yeah. So we can continue this after the break. Okay. Great. Okay, folks, it's midday. Time for the WINNFM Midday Newscast.
You found the sound. 98.9. Win FM.
We now bring you the headline news. The headline news is brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, The Grange, and Cariboury.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built, non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts? It's situated at Otley's, 7 miles east of Basseterre in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodations to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020. Fax 466-8221 or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com. When it comes to the important things in life, your health, your education, your choice of a life partner, and of course your insurance provider, Only the best will do. Caribbean Alliance Insurance is the only insurance company in the Eastern Caribbean with an A excellent rating. We have a robust 3-tier reinsurance strategy that protects our policyholders from multiple catastrophes, even if they occur in quick succession. We spread our risks over 18 territories, ensuring minimal impact to individual territories when a disaster strikes. We provide an excellent claims experience. Claim settlement is usually between 24 to 48 hours. Our A excellent rating means that you are more secure with us. Contact us for motor, property, marine, public liability, employer's liability, and other policies. Dalil Walwyn, people you can trust. Local agent for Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Tomorrow secured.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
With the WINNFM Midday News, I am Kevon Brown. Our top stories: Hilton Nolan identified as elderly found dead at Warner Park, police investigating. Morocco Scholarship Program opens doors for pharmaceutical students. Regional forecasters predict hyperactive 2024 Atlantic hurricane season, echoing international predictions. 7 Cuban rafters missing at sea who were heading toward Mexico. Internationally, the ICJ orders Israel to open Rafah crossing for unimpeded flow of aid. Now the details. The Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force is investigating the sudden death of a man found unresponsive at Warner Park in Bastille on May 23, 2024. The deceased has been identified as 69-year-old Hilton Nolan of Connery, St. Kitts. According to the authorities, police officers responded to a report of an unresponsive male at the park and found Nolan lying on the ground in one of the spectator stands. Initial observations showed no visible signs of trauma or injury on his body. Medical personnel examined Nolan and pronounced him dead at the scene. An autopsy has been requested to determine the cause of death. The Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force has not released further details and continues to investigate the circumstances surrounding Nolan's death. Authorities request that community members come forward with any information that might assist the investigation. Further updates will be provided as more information becomes available. The scholarship program of Morocco has opened its doors, inviting aspiring scholars to apply for opportunities in pharmaceutical science, pharmacology, and pharmacy practice. With a mission to cultivate academic excellence and stimulate research in these vital fields, the program aims to support the educational aspirations of talented individuals. Who can apply? Eligible applicants include undergraduate students between 19 and 23 who either completed their CAPE associate degree with outstanding grades in 2023 or are currently enrolled and maintaining a commendable academic record during the last 2 semesters. Additionally, graduate students holding a bachelor's degree or its equivalent with impressive grades and interest in pursuing a master's degree are encouraged to apply. Key deadlines: May 31st, 2024, the deadline for the initial submission. July 20th, 2024, final deadline for late applications. Strict adherence to these deadlines is essential to ensure that applications are considered. The Morocco Scholarship Program is an opportunity to nurture talent and foster advancement in critical sectors. In regional news, regional forecasters predict hyperactive 2024 Atlantic hurricane season, echoing international predictions. 7 Cuban rafters missing at sea who were heading toward Mexico. Those reports and more from Carib Update.
Regional forecasters are predicting a hyperactive 2024 Atlantic hurricane season with up to 29 named storms, 13 of which are likely to become hurricanes, including 7 major hurricanes. The Barbados-based Caribbean Institute of Meteorology and Hydrology Models suggest a 66% chance of at least one major hurricane tracking through the Caribbean. Forecasters say that 2024 resembles 2010, which began as the driest year in the Eastern Caribbean but ended as the wettest on record, including the deluge and devastation wrought by Hurricane Thomas. One of the boats involved in the oil spill in Tobago may now be under detention in Angola, a statement from Trinidad's Ministry of Energy said. The statement said the government was continuing to use all resources at its disposal to try to ascertain and find those responsible for the incident. Energy Minister Stuart Young said the government has received information that the tug Solo Creed may have been detained by authorities in Angola. Young has asked for special correspondence to be sent via the Ministry of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs to Angolan authorities to verify information that has come to hand. A statement from the Coast Guard is also helping to verify the location of the Solo Creed. 7 Cuban rafters who arrived in the Cayman Islands on May 8th and chose to continue their journey are currently missing, according to media reports there, quoting family sources. According to a relative, the group consists of 7 men from Camagüey who were heading towards Mexico. According to the reporters, the rafters left Cuba on May 3 from Santa Cruz del Sur, Camagüey, aiming for Cancun, Mexico. On May 8th, it was reported by CyberCuba that they had arrived in the Cayman Islands but had requested to continue their journey. CyberCuba said that since then, nothing has been heard from there. Cuban President Miguel Diaz-Canel has replaced his Minister of Foreign Commerce, Ricardo Cabrizas. Cabrizas, a confidant of both Diaz-Canel and former Cuban leader Raúl Castro, has for decades managed negotiations over foreign debt with Cuba's trade partners. The 87-year-old will carry on his role as Deputy Prime Minister, according to a brief statement broadcast on the midday state-run newscast. The statement did not explain why Diaz-Canel had chosen to replace Cabrizas. Diaz-Canel earlier this year sacked his economy minister Alejandro Gil on allegations of corruption. The Cuban president has also replaced his food industry and science, technology and environment ministers, as well as several high-level provincial party leaders since February. The deployment of the first Kenyan police officers to Haiti to lead an international anti-gang force has been delayed after a planned flight from Nairobi was postponed on Tuesday, according to various sources. U.S. officials had previously indicated that the officers would be in Port-au-Prince by Thursday to coincide with Kenyan President William Ruto's state visit to the White House. Speaking at a joint news conference Thursday with U.S. President Joe Biden, Ruto reiterated Kenya's commitment to sending the forces to Haiti. Kenya volunteered in July to lead the mission, but has faced repeated delays deploying due to litigation brought by opponents of the government's plan and a surge of violence in March that led the Haitian Prime Minister to resign. Singer Sean Kingston has been arrested in California hours after a police raid of his Florida mansion, during which his mother was also arrested. Kingston was accused in February by a company of not fully paying for a huge TV and sound system. U.S. media report that he was taken into custody in Fort Irwin, Southern California, on fraud and theft charges on a Florida warrant, according to police in the latter states. In an earlier social media post, Kingston said his lawyers were handling everything. The earlier Florida police raid targeted a residence near Fort Lauderdale, at which the singer, whose legal name is Keyshawn Anderson, was named as living in court documents from February. U.S. media reported that the woman arrested was Kingston's mother.
We now bring you these international reports.
To the United Nations, where the United States Deputy Ambassador to the UN is speaking. That's Robert Wood. Let's listen in.
And putting the lives of humanitarian workers at risk as they work to stave off famine and provide life-saving assistance. Since the start of the war, Sudan has become one of the most dangerous places in the world for humanitarians. We mourn the loss of 2 ICRC staff in South Darfur just this month, and we fear what horrors lie ahead if the parties plunge further into this spiral of death and destruction. As we speak, the RSF is amassing troops and tightening its siege on El Fasher and its 1.6 million residents, bringing the city to the brink of catastrophe. We urge the RSF to pull back its forces and for all parties to take urgent steps to de-escalate. This war is not getting enough of the world's attention, and we need to end it now. So let me be clear. All parties to armed conflict in any part of our world must comply fully with their obligations under international humanitarian law. Civilians everywhere must be protected. Humanitarian and UN workers everywhere must be able to do their jobs. The United States also wishes to commend Switzerland for its skillful facilitation of this resolution. In particular, we appreciate how the resolution captures the policy goals shared by all states of promoting respect for international humanitarian law, while avoiding any suggestion that states have legal obligations to ensure that other states or parties to a conflict must respect IHL. We also wanted to register our perspective that a few technical aspects should be improved in further iterations of the Council's work relating to IHL. Most states do not recognize an IHL principle of precaution. The United States understands IHL to contain a number of different rules requiring the taking of feasible precautions, which are based on the fundamental IHL principle of proportionality. In addition, the language in the resolution regarding the prosecution of violations should be refined in light of states' practice and states' nuanced legal obligations in this area, which allow for the appropriate exercise of prosecutorial discretion. Thank you, Mr. President.
I thank the representative of the United States for their statement. I now give the floor to the representative of Japan.
Thank you, Mr. President. Japan welcomes the adoption of the resolution on the protection of humanitarian and UN and associated personnel, which we co-sponsored. Japan deeply appreciates Switzerland's leadership in drafting the resolution.
So we have been watching there a vote that's taking place at the UN Security Council. It is separate to what's been happening at the International Court of Justice in The Hague, but it is related in that the resolution is on the protection of humanitarian and UN personnel.
Papua New Guinea. There's been a massive landslide in a remote area with many people feared to have died. Now, the disaster hits the K Klam village in Papua New Guinea's Enga province at around 3 a.m. local time when people would have been asleep. The province is about 600 kilometres northwest of Port Moresby. Rock and soil has fallen from the hillside with trees uprooted. The remains of many corrugated tin shelters can be seen at the foot of the landslide. Now, more than 50 houses are reported to have been buried. Rescuers have used machetes and long-handled axes to try and help clear the rubble. The Prime Minister said the authorities were responding to the disaster. Well, Belinda Cora is a journalist based in the capital, Port Moresby, and gave us the latest from on the ground.
It's been very devastating and very shocking news across the country here in Papua New Guinea. A landslide had covered a whole clan, a village in the highlands, remote area. And at this time, we are still to confirm any details, specific details to the death toll, and of course recovery efforts at this time due to the accessibility at this time where the rugged terrains where this disaster actually happened is now becoming an issue and challenge for authorities.
Yeah, just explain how remote this area is.
So this area is actually in the Enga province, and it's in the highlands area. It is accessible via road, but at this time, the landslide that had happened at 3 a.m. this morning had covered the main highway. So the accessibility into the area would be via chopper or probably airplane, but at this time they cannot be able to actually confirm if that help has actually arrived in the area.
And the Prime Minister has said that they are trying to mount a rescue operation.
Yes, he's another press release just this afternoon, sending his condolences to the families affected after this news. And he has also authorized a team of rescue officers and our PNG Defence Force here, or the soldiers here, to also go and assist as soon as possible.
And this area has had landslides in the past, and you've had a lot of rain in Papua New Guinea recently.
Yes, from reports on ground, there was no specific weather report, but we were able to get that as this afternoon, and that was that there was no rains in the area, especially these mountainous terrains. But yes, I must admit that we've had some heavy rains in parts of the highlands in the last couple of days, and I think the significance of this disaster is just that how it was able to cover a whole village of families, and at this time, no updates of any confirmed survivors. Yeah.
And of course, the issue is that it happened at 3 a.m. in the morning when people would have been asleep, so they didn't have a chance to actually get away from the rocks as they came down.
Yes, and that is the saddest part of the disaster, that it happened while they were sleeping. Reports on ground also confirmed that, and we're just waiting for any form of update that could be able to tell us if there was any survivors at all.
Yes, and I assume at the moment, until the authorities can get any help there, it is literally going to be the locals doing what they can.
Yes, at this time, what we're getting from on ground is definitely that. The locals around the area, around the Pogera area, and of course around Enga province are actually moving over there just to help. But at this time, the authorities actually disseminating information out to media during this time. It's very, very hectic and very slow because they're actually trying to actually go in there themselves. So the locals will be helping out in the villages around the area.
A snap general election was only announced on Wednesday, but the UK's economy has already emerged as a central issue. CPI figures this week showed inflation is falling quickly, though not as quickly as expected, and retail data out today revealed a heavy slump in April's consumer spending. At a time when the economy is delivering mixed messages, does an election confuse the picture even more? Well, to help answer that and more, I'm joined by independent equity analyst Anna McDonald. Many thanks for joining us today, Anna. What do you think this week's retail sales data is telling us? It was down, sales were down 2.3% month on month, 2.7% year on year. Is that all down to the weather, or is it a broader consumer sentiment issue? And to what extent are online sales a bright spot there?
Well, I think that the ONS were at pains to say that it was a lot to do with the weather, that sales fell so much. It was a very wet month. And another factor is that Easter came early. Easter was in March and not April. So some of that trade will have been pulled through into March that might otherwise have occurred last year in April. So the poor weather would explain why retail sales for clothing and things like that and outdoor furniture had fallen. There has been a little bit of a bright spot in online, but that's still actually relatively weak. But that could also be because you would maybe order some new summery clothes online and that you weren't just doing that. But the cost of living crisis is still a really live factor for lots of people in the UK. And I think that we analysts hadn't quite figured that kind of quantum of a fall in. So that will be the weather plus ongoing issues with the cost of living crisis. And that's something when you talk about how we feel about the electorate going into July the 4th, that's something that's one of those mixed signals.
So where does that cost of living crisis and the still quite sticky inflation data that we've had leave the Bank of England, especially now that we have the added complication of an election looming in early July?
It's interesting, actually, because most analysts, as you've alluded to, thought that inflation data was actually a little bit stronger than expected on Wednesday at 2.3% and not the 2.1%, which was consensus. and a lot of that driven by quite sticky core inflation, which has come from services, which is to do with wage increases. And that is a sticky form of inflation. So even though the city thought it was quite a high number, it seemed to be one of the things that encouraged Sunak to go for that July date, that he could say that inflation was coming down to near target, and that he'd, when he joined, when he became prime minister, inflation was 11%. Now it's at 2.3, and sort of pointing to that as being a very positive factor. But the Bank of England will be looking at this in two ways. It will be thinking that sticky service inflation is still there, but also even though they'll get one more inflation data out in early June, and the decision they make is not until the 20th of June, they don't have the opportunity to explain to the market, if they did make a change, then what were the driving factors. There are no sort of press conferences after that 20th of June meeting.
Well, amid all the political uncertainty that we now have, the Treasury's planned sale of its 27% shareholding in NatWest, that's its remaining stake, that appears to be in jeopardy. How do you see this panning out, and are Labour likely to follow through on the sale if they win the election?
I think that it would be tricky for them to do any kind of retail or institutional offer right now ahead of the election. They have announced that they're working through internal due process, but the shares were off about 2% yesterday, and on the announcement of the election. And I think that there is likely now to be a delay. I think Labour probably will still want to carry on with selling down that stake. It's worth about $7 billion. The government have owned NatWest shares now for 16 years, which seems like an incredibly long time. I don't think anyone foresaw it would be that long. Whether it will still take the form of a retail offer or an institutional placing, I think is open to question. When you think about other retail offers in the past of companies that have been, or of full privatization, that's normally been utilities, whether we think of British Gas or British Telecom at the time. Those are much more predictable earnings streams with dividend payers and things like that. So whether NatWest falls into that category is a little bit open to debate.
Well, also weighing on market sentiment here and across Europe is, of course, the US rates and inflation outlook, with some fairly big figures in the US now saying that they don't see any rate cuts at all this year. I'm thinking in particular of David Solomon of Goldman Sachs. What's your outlook there?
It's quite a turnaround. If we think about what we were thinking towards the end of last year, several rate cuts slated for this year in all the advanced economies. But we've just been through a series of several Fed Reserve officials talking down the chances of that being able to happen. The latest being Bostich, who talked about how, because it's interesting actually, if we think back to 2021, when we saw that inflation was coming in hotter than expected, much higher than expected, and the banks weren't raising rates, it meant that everyone thought they are going to have to raise rates. So people started locking in debt at lower levels. And that has meant that when the Federal Reserve and others have been increasing rates, it hasn't actually hit consumers or businesses as much as it might normally have done. So monetary policy has been less effective at slowing growth. So I think that means that the Federal Reserve is just going to take more time. It doesn't want to make mistakes on the way down as it did as much on the way up. And the economy does seem to be still relatively robust. So, yes, I think that some of the big banks, whether it's the CEO of Goldman Sachs or others, are talking about potentially no rate cuts at all this year in the US.
You were listening to the Midday News on WINNFM 98.9. The headlines: Hilton Nolan identified as elderly found dead at Warner Park, police investigating. Morocco Scholarship Program opens doors for pharmaceutical students. Regional forecasters predict hyperactive 2024 Atlantic hurricane season, echoing international predictions. 7 Cuban rafters missing at sea who were heading toward Mexico. Internationally, the ICJ orders Israel to open Rafah crossing for unimpeded flow of aid. Thank you for listening.
That was the WINNFM Headline News. The headline news is brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, The Grange, and Carib Brewery.
With over a century of perfection behind the Mackeson name, a smooth blend with perfect balance and richness, it's no wonder Mackeson Triple Stout has a legacy of perfection. Enjoyed the world over. Introducing our new look with the same great taste. Mackeson. All hail the king.
Please drink responsibly.
When it comes to the important things in life, your health, your education, your choice of a life partner, and of course your insurance provider, only the best will do. Caribbean Alliance Insurance is the only insurance company in the Eastern Caribbean with an A excellent rating. We have a robust 3-tier reinsurance strategy that protects our policyholders from multiple catastrophes, even if they occur in quick succession. We spread our risks over 18 territories, ensuring minimal impact to individual territories when a disaster strikes. We provide an excellent claims experience. Claim settlement is usually between 24 to 48 hours. Our A excellent rating means that you are more secure with us. Contact us for motor, property, marine, public liability, employer's liability, and other policies. Dalil Walwyn, people you can trust. Local agent for Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Tomorrow secured. Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built, non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts? It's situated at Otley's, 7 miles east of Basseterre in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodations to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020. Fax 466-8221 or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
Attention, citizens and residents of St. Kitts and Nevis. A message from your government. In the face of rising gun violence, we offer a chance for redemption. From May 10th to May 25th, 2024, turn in your illegal firearms, ammunition, and accessories at any police station or to a lawyer without fear of prosecution.
If you are in possession of an illegal firearm or ammunition, if you are harboring such items for others, if thoughts of wielding a gun cross your mind, the moment for transformation is now.
Choose a future free from violence. Your loved ones will thank you. Turn in your guns. The time for change is now.
Mr. Gunman, tell me where you get out of killing, where you get out of blood spilling, what kind of sickness you have in your heart, for you get up every day, you bust gun for your living.
You found the sound. 98.9 Win FM.
.31 and I am back for the second half of Voices, which is brought to you by Hosfords. Are we gonna go get a word from Hosfords and we're gonna come back? I got shared a very interesting clip. Now some of you would have heard about the the Kenyan police forces that will be helping out in Haiti. And it turns out that the president of Kenya, Mr. Ruto, he started a state visit with the United States, President Biden yesterday. Well, there was a press conference, clip, which I'm going to play when we come back. After hearing from Hosford's, a Kenyan reporter asking Joe Biden and Ruto tough questions on Haiti. So when we come back, we're going to hear that. All right?
Here are your Hosford's Value Mart IGA specials. Running May 16 to May 29th. Now our Value Club Blue Tag specials. Lay's chips, $8.99. Kraft mayonnaise, $24.99. Palmolive dish liquid, $11.99. IGA and essential everyday salad dressings, $10.99. Peter Pan peanut butter, $12.99. Totino pizza rolls, $10.99. And now our very low weekly value deals. Essential everyday lasagna, $6.99. Pillsbury cake mix, $6.99. Old Orchard 100% apple juice, $9.99. DM toothpaste, $4.99. Irish Spring bar soap, $11.99. Extra liquid laundry detergent, $12.99. Shall smart, shall value mart. Tell them in Spanish. Sea listo y haga sus compras aquí en Value Mart.
And we are back. So I'm just gonna give you guys some. I'm gonna give you guys the just a little background on the president of Kenya's state visit to U.S. and then I'm gonna play the questions that the Kenyan journalists asked. Let me see now. I'm trying to find something here. So, like I said, I think they said this was the first state visit, first state visit for the first or one of the first state visits for a long time or something. Let me see. I'm trying to find some background on that. So I wanted to give you guys some background on that before I play the clip. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so the Ruto state visit to the United States. Okay, so okay, so this is from the USA Today. So the Kenyan president, let me see. I'm looking at this USA Today story is calling it. I just wanted the basics. I didn't want all this spin. But anyway, this says, some lawmaker calls it an affront to American diplomacy for House Speaker Mike Johnson to not invite President William Ruto to give an address to a joint session of Congress. But anyways, what's on the menu at the White House for visiting Kenyan President William Ruto? Smoked short ribs and buttered lobster. Who cares? Anyway, what's not on the menu? An invitation for the African leader to address a joint session of Congress. That missing course has left many lawmakers fuming. I really didn't want to get into all that. I just wanted to talk about the state visit. Anyway, even as President Joe Biden gets ready to treat Ruto and his wife, Rachel, to a sumptuous state dinner Thursday night, that was last night because that started yesterday, some fear the absence of an honor that has been accorded to all recent visiting heads of state could leave a bitter aftertaste. Many prominent lawmakers are upset over House Speaker Mike Johnson's rejection of a joint meeting of Congress with Ruto, which was proposed by the House Committee on Foreign Affairs to, quote, underscore the importance of the U.S.-Kenya relationship, unquote. His office cited scheduling issues for the denial. Anyways, yeah, so I did see the pictures last night, with him and his wife, and what I think might have been two of his daughters at the White House. Well, they had a press conference today, so I really wanted to play you guys questions that were asked by a Kenyan journalist that most likely accompanied or went to the U.S. to cover President Ruto's trip. So here we go.
Do I ask the next question as well? Let me ask, Ayub abdicated from Kenya for the next question. Is Ayub? Oh yeah, Ayub.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you. One question, and this is on Haiti. President Biden, Kenya is rather doing the heavy lifting in a turbulent region, Somalia, South Sudan, the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Washington, as you have mentioned, has committed millions of dollars for the cause in Haiti. Isn't it ironic that while America is ending its forever wars in Afghanistan, the latest in 2021, under your leadership, when you withdrew troops from Kabul, and that you're committing Kenya to another foreign wars 12,000 kilometers away from Nairobi? I mean, why the discrepancy? Why the dichotomy? While you're ending your forever wars, overseas wars, yet you're committing Kenya to Haiti. Can you explain that?
Very easily. There's a reason why Afghanistan has been known as the graveyard of empires. The likelihood of anybody uniting Afghanistan is highly, highly, highly unlikely, number one. Number two, there are ways to control ISIS other than occupying Afghanistan. It was an unnecessary need. Now, with regard to Haiti, Haiti is in an area of the Caribbean that is very volatile. There's a lot going on in this hemisphere, and we're in a situation where we want to do all we can without us looking like America once again is stepping over and deciding this is what must be done. Haitians are looking for help, as well as the folks in the Caribbean are looking for help. And so we checked out with a number of other countries. The one who stepped up was Haiti. We've committed to provide the wherewithal, the intelligence and equipment and the like to Haiti. And so it's a logical thing. And you have a first-rate capability, and you keep your word. That's an important dynamic. I agree with President Biden that Kenya's participation in Haiti is not so much about what happened in the past. It's about what we believe in, the peace and security of humanity. And we don't find that the U.S. is committing Kenya because the U.S. cannot commit Kenya. I am the president of Kenya. It's me to make that decision. And it's the people of Kenya to commit their own troops using their own structures. We've gone through the processes in Kenya. Parliament has approved. We have a clear mandate. We have a clear framework. And it is us, the people of Kenya, who made this decision in the interest of serving peace and stability as a responsible global citizen and understanding that insecurity, instability anywhere is insecurity and instability everywhere. And by the way, you implied that we weren't doing anything anywhere else. Well, we're kind of occupied around the world, but we're also engaged in Congo, in the neighborhood. And, we're going to continue to help alleviate human suffering there. The United States is the largest humanitarian donor, providing $375 million in humanitarian funding just this year, including support for more than 6 million displaced people from the DRC. So we are engaged in more than one place.
Follow up to my president, Dr. Ruto. You said that Kenya is committed, and in your Carter speech in Atlanta, you said it's based on humanitarianism, helping Haiti out. But can you explain the geopolitical goal, 12,000 kilometers away from Nairobi, when schools in the counties of Baringo, West Pokot, and Turkana have not yet opened because of the banditry problem, Yet you are committing our national police force to Haiti, and where is the priority? This being one of your major manifesto pillars, talking about security, and to the extent that even the Defense Cabinet Secretary talked about the deployment of, if need be, the Kenyan military or the special personnel to make sure that schools are open, children go to school in areas that are bandit-prone in Kenya. Why are you committing to Haiti when we have a problem back home? Is it an irony that you are putting the fire in the faraway neighbor's home when when our own home is on fire?
Thank you very much. I made a commitment to the people of Kenya to sort out insecurity in the North Rift. I have followed that with action. As we talk, there are 3,000 military officers in the North Rift, 2,000 police officers in the North Rift. We have renovated the first 15 schools and completed. We have reopened 20 schools already that were closed in the North Rift, and that exercise is ongoing. We have made tremendous progress in making sure that we create security at home, but that does not take away our responsibility. Even as we were deploying troops and policemen in our own country, in North Rift, to sort out the banditry problem, we still deployed 1,000 troops to DRC Congo, because that is our neighborhood. We have 5,000 troops in Somalia, because equally that is our responsibility. And Haiti should not be an exception. That's why deploying 1,000 security men to Haiti speaks to the same belief and commitment to peace and security.
Next question from April Ryan.
Mr. President, President Biden, President Ruto, thank you. First of all, when you talk about Haiti, President Ruto, you said Haiti is a collective responsibility for all nations. And for you, Mr. President, President Biden, President Ruto, do you believe that these nations can break the back of this militia that has gripped the nation there? And also, when it comes to Congo, thank you, Mr. President, for bringing up what the United States is doing for the Congo, especially as that flag was behind you at Morehouse. Mr. President, could you tell me what the African Union is doing, as well as Kenya is doing, when it comes to the humanitarian crisis in the Congo? Thank you.
What was my question?
Sir, your question was Haiti. Can the United States and Kenya, or the nations collectively, break the backs of this coordinated militia that has the grips of the nation? That nation. Thank you.
Yes. The very way we're doing it. We're not talking about a 1,000-person army that's made up of trained persons. This is a crisis. It's able to be dealt with. And we think we can deal with this way with a multinational approach, with Haiti leading the way and us providing the intelligence as well as equipment.
Gangs and criminals do not have nationalities. They have no religion. They have no language. Their language is one. To deal with them firmly, decisively, within the parameters of the law. And that's why we're building a coalition of nations beyond Kenya and the US, many who are making contribution towards the MSS force in Haiti to secure that country and to break the back of the gangs and the criminals that have visited untold suffering in that country. On DRC, the AU, the East African Community, and Kenya are seized with that matter. I've just told you that Kenya had 1,000 troops in Haiti. We now have another 800, not in Haiti, but in DRC. We now have another 800 troops from SADC. We are going to be having a meeting of the East African community. I did send my my foreign minister to Kinshasa. They had a conversation, and shortly we will be looking at how to begin the dialogue process under the Nairobi process, because we believe there is no military solution to what is going on in DRC, but instead, dialogue should be able to give us the necessary momentum and outcomes that would settle the matters in Eastern DRC. So both the AU, the East African community, and Kenya as a country are seized of that matter. We know that the humanitarian crisis in Eastern DRC has displaced close to 7 million people. And I want to thank the United States of America for stepping in with humanitarian support for that region, because it is a collaboration of different countries in different ways to deal with that situation. The rest of us are committing troops. We are committing deploying our infrastructure to facilitate the resolution of the matters in DRC. Let me ask Nancy Agutu from Kenya. She's here. Okay, Nancy.
Mr. President, Africa is asking America to lead the way and double its contribution to the World Bank's international development.
Okay, it's a pity. That's the end of the clip. It's a pity they cut off that other Kenyan reporter that asked President Ruto a question. Okay, let's take a quick break from here from Hartford, and we'll come back and continue Voices.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is Win FM.
Portsmouth's Value Mart IGA is helping you spend less and save more. How, you ask? Essential Everyday and Equiline. Spend less on our Essential Everyday products and get the best quality, the best taste, and the best value. Spend less for all your family health and beauty needs with the Equiline brand of over-the-counter products. Portsmouth's Value Mart IGA is helping you spend less. With our Essential Everyday products and Equiline over-the-counter health and beauty care products. Shop smart and spend less at Value Mart, where price matters most.
Well, we're back on Voices, and we go straight back to the phone lines. It's 12:50. Caller, go right ahead.
And I'm back.
Mm-hmm.
You just play the clip there, and let us dissect it. Let us give some context to, because initially, without having the full information, and I have known that the East African community has completed the services, and the SADC, the Southern African area, is who assume that security assistance to the DRC. Are you aware that there was a coup attempt in the DRC in a few days' time? About a week ago?
Yes, I am.
Right, so we're going to add some context to this here. And President William Ruto, like in the Caribbean, we have heard of Ralph Gonsalves, we have heard of the Prime Minister from Antigua and Barbuda, we have heard of May Motley, we have heard of different Prime Ministers from time to time. We'll have that vigor, and they'll come forward with that vigor. Likewise, you will hear that figure come from the sentiments of presidents in Africa, and it will die down. Kenya happens to be one of the most thriving nations. They have come a long way from the Mau Mau uprising, the Mau Mau struggle, and everything like that. to a kind of a stable country, which is the British had colonized Kenya. At one time, the British wanted to carve out a piece of Kenya and I think piece of Uganda for the state of Israel. Yeah, that was in the making. It did not come to fruition. And so in 1948, they decided to carve out Palestine for the state of Israel. While I listened to the news, something on the news that stated that the ICJ had ordered Israel to open the Rafah border for humanitarian aid to come. I did not hear any context on that news. Rather, I heard a news clip about the Sudan. I was listening in anticipation to hear something about that news. Well, let us dissect what is at play here with the Kenya and the assistance. I don't like, and I'm going to be upfront and honest, I don't like when any of those players, I can say equally as I have criticized Russia with their presence in the Berlin Conference, equally I will criticize the United States. And anytime those players are a part of it, it makes me nervous. Because we have to try to do it on our own, because repeatedly you find those guys get involved and they have worsened the situation, like Haiti, in Haiti. The Clinton foundations, they have stolen the monies that was gathered from celebrities to assist in Haiti. And they have stolen the monies. There was a coup attempt in the DRC because President Felix Tshisekedi has told a German journalist that the Apple Company, their blood on the hands of the Apple Company, like how there were blood on the hands of those companies, the Western companies that was in Sierra Leone with the diamonds. So this bloody affair continue. So we can have some context to this matter and get to our people's mind, to allow our people to think critically. And when you hear people coming to the fore, like E-Truth and others, who just come into the fore and trying to reach you in a tangible way, for you to stand up and be counted on the right side of history. This is what we have to face with. And I was elated to hear President William Ruto said that it's not the Americans. I am the president of Kenya, and I am making this decision. And it's only time will tell if his decision was correct or not. But when our African leaders step up to the fore, we need not to bash them, because I tell you what, Bob Marley will call them Echo and Jekyll, referring to the United States and Russia from the fallout of the Cold War. So you will find some president that will side with the Americans, and you will find some president that will side with the Russians, from the old Warsaw Pact and NATO fallout to the non-aligned movement and to other movements that has unfolded as of late. If I was a prime minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, for instance, in my diplomacy, I will talk to America and I will talk to Russia. I will know what my interest is. Whether Russia wants to get jealous of what I am talking to America about, or whether America get jealous of what I'm talking to Russia about, that's their prerogative. America is America and Russia is Russia, and they will always fight because they have been fighting from since they know themselves. But I know what the benefit I should be derived from talking to Russia and talking to America for the benefit of my nation. And I would not side. So when President Ruto said it's not America, it's me, I respect him for that, because he has shown leadership. And from time to time, we will see leadership come from Mayor Motley, Gaston Brown, Ralph Gonzalez, and so forth. Likewise, on the continent, it's the same thing. And when our leaders show leadership, Let us lift them up. Let us hold them up high. Being critical, we could be critical, but know that they are showing leadership for our own benefit, for our own redemption, for our own repatriation, for our own reparation, for our own goodness, as leaders ought to do. So when President Felix Tshisekedi said that blood is on the hands of Apple, let it be known that blood is on the hands of Apple, because it's little children is digging the mines and digging the trenches for tantalum and all of those other things, minerals.
Yeah, we have another caller. Go ahead, caller.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hey, what's up?
I'm a little bit off of that topic of Russia and Kenya and Haiti. I want to speak about that, but I also wanted to speak about something else, and
okay,
it's more of a question. So, what I wanted to know is relating to citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis who have children born outside of St. Kitts and Nevis. I wondered if you would know if those children born outside of St. Kitts and Nevis to a citizen born inside of St. Kitts and Nevis are in fact citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis by descent, or do they require some sort of registration to acquire the citizenship? So what I'm asking, is it automatic acquisition, or is it entitlement by registration rather than simply just an automatic right?
I am not. I can't speak for it off the top of my head with 100% certainty, but I'm sure someone like Chesley maybe can send me a text or so. I have a lot of lawyer friends who can probably weigh in here. Lisa, maybe.
Yeah.
Somebody can send me a text.
I wonder. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wonder if you could get somebody on who could clarify that position, because when I read the Constitution, it clearly says that is the case. That it defines who are citizens on Independence Day and who are citizens after Independence Day. And yet, what I'm getting from the High Commission or the Embassy in London is that I would have to register my children or my daughter, etc. And that is not what the legislation is saying to me. So if you could get somebody on who could clarify that, I'd be really grateful, or to even debate the issue.
Okay.
But yeah, Haiti and Kenya, there's something a bit fishy going on there. And to me, Kenya is a tool of Britain and America. We see it all the time. We see it with their behavior with Somalia. And I can't understand why Kenya has to be the force to go in and help to rectify the situation in Haiti, when you have neighbors like Jamaica, we have the regional security forces. Haiti is a member of CARICOM, right?
Yeah, but I mean, I really think that's outside of our capacity, to be honest. I'm not saying we can probably have some embeds to help with maybe consulting and doing some of the heavy lifting, but I really don't think. How
is it inside of Kenya's capacity then? And I'm trying to get the comparison.
But my main thing there is numerical. I mean, we're talking about a country with 9 million people. I mean, between Jamaica and let's say take the bigger ones, Jamaica, Trinidad, maybe Barbados. I still think it's a heavy lift. They might be able to pull it off, but I still think it's probably a heavy lift. Do we have the manpower to go around? That's what I mean. I mean,
maybe you're thinking about,
and then the logistical tail that goes with that. All these. Which, by the way, with the Kenyan situation in Haiti, the Americans are providing the logistical tail, which is like the vehicles, the armored vehicles, the support equipment, and so on. So, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why can't
Go ahead.
So why can't America continue to provide the equipment and our regional forces from Jamaica to Trinidad? We got Guadeloupe and those other islands in between that also speak French. I know they're not in the CARICOM.
They're French. Well, they're actually associate members now. I think Martinique is an associate member now. So
right.
Actually, Martinique might be a full member. I think they were trying to get full membership of the OECS or CARICOM. I can't remember which one. Yeah, but
so why can't we sort out our own backyard? Is the question.
That's a question, isn't it? And to your point, I agree. There's something fishy going on.
You know what someone just said to me a while ago? That the World War III has already begun, and sides are being taken. Yeah, it's we had the Cold War, so war doesn't always break out in full form, right? A lot of strategic moves have been made in the last, say, 10 or 12 years. You spoke about BRICS. That's a strategic move of financial shift and power.
Okay, you understand the line. I'm bringing in another caller. Caller, go ahead. Finish your point there, you, and then the caller can join in. Caller, are you there?
So.
Okay. Oh my God. Here we go.
So.
Here we go with the Bible stuff.
So I was saying that there's a huge shift in global alliances, and Kenya, has always been a tool for them, and Haiti has always been in the crosshairs.
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, we're here.
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, can hear you.
Yeah. Sorry, a call's coming in, so I just wondered if it.
Oh well. But, no, he's here. He's there. He's listening.
No.
So when you're ready for him to jump in, just say, yeah.
Yeah, I'll let him go in. No call was coming in on my line.
I see.
Kind of through my thoughts.
Okay, go ahead, Greg. Go ahead, Greg.
Yes, what I'm calling to say, Trevor, is that, and good afternoon to you and all the listeners. What I'm calling to say is that it's not right for countries to be jumping into each other countries to solve their problem. And not only that, there's no way I believe that the man from Kenya did that on his own. I believe he was forced by the European nations and by the United States to do what he is doing. And not only that, a lot of what goes on in Haiti, a lot of it have to do with the Europeans and America meddling into Haiti. So why
is he still there? Because I can't hear his side.
Oh, you can't hear him? Okay, hold on. No. Go ahead. Yes. Go ahead, Greg.
Yes. So why Kenya should be cleaning up America's and European problem that they caused in Haiti? If anybody used to go in there to clean up, it's Europe and America. But like I said, I don't even believe anybody should be going in anybody's country to clean up their mess. I believe the people them should be cleaning up their own mess. And not only that, I even listened to a woman who was a big name in Haiti. I forget her name though. And she said it's only the Haitian people could solve their problem. All these other nations coming in, they cannot solve it. No, personally, like I said, I'm a Christian, and I believe the only way to solve the problem is to do things the Bible way. And by the way, but another issue too. Like I realize that, and Ireland tea. You all love to praise Biden and bash Trump. Well, with all due respect, both of them are bad. But I think Biden is worse. I think Biden is the greater of the two evils. And there are a few reasons why I say that. For example, Biden, with the Democrat Party, they are for murdering the unborn in the womb, no matter the reason. And no matter the term, the trimester or whatever, they are for murdering the unborn in the womb. That, not only that, they are for pushing the homosexuals with their marriages and that sort of stuff. And not only that, they are, Biden and the Democrat Party are for pressuring nations, including African nations, to accept the homosexual agenda, to allow them to marry and them sort of stuff. And not only that, they even want to put sanction now on Uganda. Biden them want to put sanction on Uganda for the anti-homosexual laws that they made. Trump, with all due respect, as bad as he is, never got to these kind of extent. Not only that, Trump is the only president in recent history who never started a war. He did escalate certain wars, but he never started one. But even other presidents have escalated other wars. So not only that, I do not know of Trump overthrowing any government, but Obama, Biden, and Hillary, they overthrew Saddam, they overthrew the government of a country, I think it's in Central America. I forgot the name of the country. They went after Assad in Syria, tried to overthrow him, and illegally occupying Syria. That sort of stuff. Trump never started a war. So I'm not saying Trump is good either. I'm not saying Trump is good, but when I wear Biden and Trump together in the balances and Obama them, Trump ain't as bad as them, as bad as he is. But you see CNN News and MSNBC and those sort of stuff, because they are by far Democrats, they don't report the news properly. They don't report the news properly. And even Fox as well don't report the news properly.
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
But so I just want to we suffer more under the Democrats than under the Republicans, because the Democrats pressure us. Hello?
No, yeah. Go ahead, Greg. Go ahead.
The Democrats pressures us more to accept all kind of agendas than the Republican will. Does. The Republican probably more ignore us, you know, and let us more do we think. But I'm not saying that's 100% either, because they do a lot of shopping and stuff. But the Democrats seem to be more interventionist in people's countries than Republicans.
Okay,
you know,
Greg.
And
Okay, we get it.
The homosexual agenda and abortion agenda.
Yeah,
so
we get it.
Mostly coming from the Democrat Party.
We get it. Well, you're not going to get an argument from me about the latter, but I mean, we get it. Republicans and Trump are perfect. Okay.
Well, you see, here you go again.
You talk about the Bible. You talk about the Bible and then advocate for Trump. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how those. I don't know how those two go together. Honestly.
No, here you go again. You like the American.
He did make a good point that Trump doesn't seem to be a warmonger, but I do believe that if Trump gets back in power, he will be on the war path for revenge. I do believe that much.
Which Gregory will probably agree with, because I don't understand how I don't understand how you could be you come on the radio every day and talk about how we should be doing things the Bible way. Oh, and by the way, Trump is on God's right hand. He may as well be saying that. You know?
Well, I think we were doing things the Bible way on the plantation for quite some time, but it wasn't necessarily the right way.
Yes, according to them, right?
Exactly. So, back to the point about what was he talking about? Haiti.
Yeah.
I do feel that we have regional resources, human resources to sort out Haiti. We may not have the equipment and to supply that. I think Haiti would appreciate more to have regional help from its neighbors than opposed to an African nation that's far more aligned with U.S. and British interests. I believe they would trust us more, and we have more of a vested interest, being regional neighbors, in helping them to sort out their problems. Do you not think so?
No, absolutely. But the thing is, no, it's not that I'm absolutely. That's what I believe. But it's just that I just don't feel we have the resources. And I take the point that the Americans would probably help. But there's
human resources. I mean, we got Belize. We got loads of countries around the region, around the Caribbean basin, that have a vested interest in stability in the region.
This is true. This is true. It's I
think it's our responsibility.
It probably is, but I'm glad you used that word responsibility. Here's a rub for me. I am all on board with us doing what we can in whatever small ways we can to help our brothers and sisters in Haiti. But it is even more incumbent upon the people who caused the problems to begin with. France and the US to fix the problem.
Yeah, and so they cannot be trusted. So any resources they provide would have to be in a limited way. So we provide. I mean, we have stable governments all throughout the region in the Caribbean.
Yeah, the first thing they need to do is France needs to do is give those people their money, all that money they have to pay back.
Yes,
that's the first thing that needs to happen.
That's one of the first things that needs to happen, but it's not going to happen if we're not all saying that. If we're not all telling them that, it's not going to happen, right? So we have to look at the more practical solutions to the problem. And whatever is available at present, we can use those resources to make it work. But I believe there's more of a sinister agenda with the United States and its beautiful ally from Kenya. You may have heard of, I think recently they were talking about all that money that was raised for for Haiti, billions and billions, since the earthquake in 2010 that turned up missing. Were you aware of that?
Well, they say that money ended up in the Clinton
Clintons,
the
right?
Clinton pocketbook.
Right. So there you go. Again, we cannot trust them. So it has to be incumbent on us in the region to sort out that problem. Anyway, to one side, I heard your speech. I heard the speech that was playing earlier with the Dwyer Astafan. He made some really good points, and I agreed with perhaps most of what he said, maybe 70, 80% of what he said. Where I found some difficulties were, I think he's mentioned that in the 80s there were gangs and there were problems from the 80s. And I can remember the 80s pretty good growing up as a child. And things like murder was once in a blue moon, okay? Because we were still hanging people for those sorts of crimes. And I think where the murders really started to take off was sometime after, say, 2003, 2004, in that period there. That's when they started coming up. We didn't even have 5 murders in a year in the 1980s when I was growing up. Now we're having something like 5 murders a month. And a lot of what transpired happened under his government's time in office. And I don't take no sides with no government. I am a country above self kind of person. And I believe that there was can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear you?
There's something else playing in my earpiece from the studio.
Oh, really?
So
Go ahead. Okay.
There was a lot of opportunity for them to set things on the straight and narrow. This didn't happen overnight. The crime situation that St. Kitts is the crime waves that St. Kitts has been happening didn't just happen overnight. I was in St. Kitts in 2018 when the regional security forces were brought in, when and I don't know all the ins and outs of it. But for a time, there was a solution. Now, I believe that there should have been more solutions introduced, because the only way to get rid of crime is to get rid of poverty. The two sort of go hand in hand. And especially in this day and age, people get more and more desperate. I can clearly remember a speech from Denzel Douglas, former Prime Minister, back in around 2002 or so, when he spoke about eradicating poverty. And I thought to myself, education is the key to that. And then so said, he actually mentioned that. But what are we really doing to educate the youth of the nation and give them the opportunities that they need to go out into the world and be productive citizens, as Dwyer said in his speech, rather than to aspire to being criminals. What are we actually doing in that avenue? And I think that needs to be looked at in a great deal. I'm sad to hear that from what he was saying in his speech, that entities in government, for instance, like customs and other departments of the government, somehow fostering this sort of activity. It's really sad to hear that, because these are the departments of government that are charged with stopping illicit weapons from coming in, and the police force is charged with stopping crime. And I see more and more police in St. Kitts and Nevis being turned out every year in the passing out ceremony, and yet still crime is rising the way it is. I can't understand that. I don't know if you could help to
yeah. Okay.
Tell me what's going on there.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I'll digress and I'll let somebody else.
Yes. Okay. We great Wayne as usual. We gonna have to continue this. We have some other calls coming in. That's UN from the UK. Caller.
Thank you.
Caller, go right ahead.
Yes, Trevor.
Hey. Sorry about that.
Yes, no problem. What happened on the plantation was contrary to the Bible. Just to correct the caller. But what I'm saying, Trevor, pointing out.
Well, that's what we were saying. That's what we were saying.
For them was good.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
No, that's what we were saying. We were saying. I mean, they were telling us that they were doing God's work, but of course, they weren't. You know. So.
None of them.
Mm-hmm.
None of them.
No, I'm talking about the plantation. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, but I have my reason why I said, as bad as Trump was, because look how Trump treated Venezuela. I mean, that was awful. But at least he did not use military might against it. He threatened. Don't get me wrong, he threatened. But at least he didn't follow through with it. You know, no, somebody said, he was afraid of Venezuela. Well, that was good, because I would prefer him being afraid of Venezuela than these other governments, these other presidents of the United States who wasn't afraid and who entered people's country because they was not afraid. So at least it was a good thing. Trump was afraid to do anything to Venezuela. Maybe another president like Biden, Obama, who went in other countries and overthrew the people, maybe they would not have been afraid of Venezuela. So maybe they might have gone in and do things. Whereas Trump didn't do it because he was afraid. So I think that was a good thing on Trump had. But it's saying that none of them good.
Well, I don't know about that, because the impression I got at the time was that Trump was trying to engineer a coup in Venezuela. If those people hadn't been caught, that's probably what would have happened.
True.
Mm-hmm.
True. Because he set up the man who was causing trouble to overthrow and who declared himself to be a president, to be the president. I forget his name.
Guaido. I think it's Guaido. His name was.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
One Guaido or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he was a Trump puppet, and that was very wrong. But at least he didn't use military might, as wrong as it.
Yeah, but I mean, my thing is, just because he just happened to be the one guy who didn't go off on any military interventions, that's not exactly a redeeming factor as far as I'm concerned. Where he's concerned, I just nausea every time I see him and hear him. I get I want to vomit.
Yeah, because we mostly listen to the mainstream.
No. This guy is objectively bad news. Come on, man.
I'm not saying that, but how come the others who have done worse than him, is not even more so?
What American president has done worse than Trump? Let me hear this.
Well, for example, Biden, Obama, and they have overthrown governments. Trump didn't overthrow no government.
But you know those extreme. I have to say those are extreme examples, because I mean,
But if Trump never did it.
given the depths to which the guy has taken U.S. statesmanship, I don't think those things are not redeeming. Those are not redeeming facts. I'm sorry. So because he didn't invade anywhere, he didn't start a war anywhere, he didn't overthrow anyone.
It's not,
so what?
Right. It's not as bad as those who invaded countries, kill leaders, and overthrew them. So yeah.
How about we talk about all the? We talk about all the disgustingly, boy, let's say the disgustingly seminal stuff he has done to besmirch the image of the image and institutions of the United States presidency and the United States as a whole. I mean, come on, man.
Trevor, like I'm saying, as bad as that is, as bad as he besmirching.
I mean, what are you gonna tell me? Oh, Hitler was bad, but at least he was a vegetarian. I mean, come on.
No, hold on. As bad as it is for him to besmirching the American institution and all stuff, that is not as bad as going in other people's country and killing the leaders and overthrowing them. It's not as bad as it is. And by the way, Clinton besmirched the institution. We remember the cigar incident and them sort of stuff. Other presidents did it, but what I'm saying, that is bad, yes.
Yeah, but
it is not as bad as going in other people's country and overthrowing the government and killing the government.
Those are all private things. Those are all private incidents which to me had nothing to do with him running the country.
But what I'm saying, a president besmirching the American institutions and that sort of stuff versus others who go into people's country and overthrow the government and kill the leaders. That is worse, Trevor. And
I'm saying that is.
Agenda.
Yes, I agree. I agree with that, Pat. But I am saying that yes, what you just mentioned is worse about going in other people's countries, and yes. But
Gaddafi, remember.
But you take all the crap he has done as a whole ever since he came on the political scene. It makes. I mean, all the little things that you could say. Well, but he didn't do this or he didn't do that. Doesn't even
give me a president.
Doesn't even move the redeeming needle in my book.
Yeah, Trevor, give me a president who would besmirch America's institution over one who got into other people's countries as a warmonger, overthrowing the government, killing the leaders like Gaddafi and so on, and dictating the country, setting up your puppet governments in the countries. Give me one who just limits himself to besmirching American institutions.
Just tell me, you seem to not understand that just because he didn't start any wars, it doesn't mean that all the adults in the room, the sense I got with a lot of the people, the functionaries that worked for Trump, it wasn't so much that a lot of them supported him. I think a lot of it was people decided, you know what, I think I need to be one of the adults in the room with this idiot running the country. McMaster. What's his name?
The reason why they so hated Trump is because
Madden,
he wouldn't
all these
do
other
all
people.
the wars they wanted him to do. He didn't do the interventions that they wanted, that the military complex in America wanted him to do. And that is why there was so much against him in his own cabinet. The other presidents were carrying out their agenda in intervening in other people's countries, overthrowing the government. Trump did not go that far.
There is a seed of truth in what you said, because you had someone like John Bolton as your national security advisor, who if a mosquito, he's the kind of guy who would say, carpet bomb that lake because a mosquito bit him. So,
yes. Yes, he was a war hawk, pressuring Trump to invade it.
But at the same time, compared to Trump, he still was like having an adult in the room. What was the name of that last chief of? What was the name of that last chief of staff again? I'm trying to remember his Kelly. Oh yeah, Kelly.
You mean for Trump?
Yeah, Mr. Kelly. He again. I mean, some of the things that I heard him say that he had to tell him, well, no, we can't do that. That's nonsense. I've heard General Milley talk about some of the crazy stuff he would say, like, why do we have nuclear weapons if we can't use them? And this is the guy. This is the guy you want to go to the mat for? Come on.
No, hold on. No, I'm not going for the mat for anyone. All I'm saying is Trump said a lot of stupidness. Trump did a lot of stupidness. All I'm saying, if I'm go, I have to go on the record of everybody. And based upon the record, Trump have a record of not being as interventionist as those like Biden and Obama.
But I really don't even want to waste time talking about the few redeeming things. The few things, redeeming things, but which are not really redeeming things that he didn't do, honestly. Because it still doesn't make him look good.
Government and killing leaders is a very bad thing, Trevor.
Is that the only? I mean, I think you're missing my point.
It's not the only thing, but those are things that are at top of the list of being evil.
Okay, let's go over to policy. What has Mr. Chaos done that you think was objectively good? I could only think of one thing, actually. Maybe the China tariffs and so on. And kind of
he lowered them?
No. I was saying I kind of like the fact that he started the kind of China protection, anti-China protectionism, which I kind of have. I don't mind really. But what else can you point to other than that stuff you were just talking about? That
hold on.
The guy is objectively the worst president ever. Why are we even talking about this idiot?
Because what I'm saying, when I weigh the evils of all of them, what I'm saying is that the going in people's country overthrowing the government. That's what they did in Ukraine in 2014. That's what they did in Ukraine too.
Who did that?
And people don't know that. They overthrew the government in 2014 in Ukraine. The girl Newland and others, and who was the president at the time? I think was it Obama or someone in 2014?
You're talking about you're talking about the Purple Revolution.
Right.
Okay.
McCain was also in Ukraine with the girl Newland, Victoria Newland, who was acting on the behalf of America to overthrow the Ukraine government and put in a puppet government. And this is what causing the problem because they start killing the people in the Donbass.
It wasn't there.
But
why would you call it? We're out of time. But why would you call it a puppet government? I mean, is Israel a U.S. puppet government? Is Israel a puppet government of the U.S.?
I think it's the other way around.
Well, actually, you're not wrong. You're actually not wrong when you think about it.
It is the other way around. But what I'm saying is that, Trevor, I'm saying all of them are bad, okay? But to me, higher on the list, one of the highest on the list is going in people's countries, overthrowing the government, killing the government, and installing your puppet government. I ain't no Trump to have done that. As he did bad, yes. He did bad. The China trade war increasing tariffs, that was a wrong, bad thing that Trump did.
Why?
Trump lied a lot. Trump said a lot of nonsense.
Okay, great.
I think Trump was wrong.
Okay, we out of time. Gotta shut it down
thank
now.
you for your time.
Okay, and so that's gonna do it for today's edition of Voices. I really wanted to get some more calls, but I don't know if it is that people were having trouble hearing us or whatever. But that's gonna do it for today's edition of Voices. I'm gonna be back on. Of course, we're gonna be back on next week. Socrates will be in next week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for Voices. And Money Matters, Dr. Terrence Martin will be in studio and in person for the next month or so. He's on break and so on. So I look forward to Money Matters on Mondays from 10 to 11, sponsored by First Federal. We're here this morning talking about their 40th anniversary activities for the rest of the year. The first one kicks off tomorrow with their their outreach. I think it's sort of like a motorcade where they're going to be going around the island trying to drum up membership for First Federal as they continue to celebrate 40 years. Okay, so that's going to do it for Voices. I'm out of here. I'm going to go get some lunch and enjoy my weekend. I hope you do too.
Here are your Hospice Value Mart IGA specials.
Running May 16 to May 29th.